Hi, I'm Bud Banasar. Thanks for being here. Wanted to entertain a question today. A question that, for me, has been quite profound all my life and led to a lot of painful introspection, as well as a whole bunch of insight and opening. And that question is, who is thinking your thoughts? So I would ask that question of myself, who is thinking my thoughts? Well, of course, the first answer to that is that I am. There's a me who's in charge of my thinking, and that me is what is thinking my thoughts. And that's an interesting one, because if I was in charge of my thoughts, then I would choose every thought. I wouldn't have negative thoughts. I wouldn't have random thoughts. I certainly wouldn't have that tune that's playing in the back of my head all the time, or whichever song someone was playing in the morning that's got embedded as an earworm in my head for the rest of the day. If I knew what I was going to think before I thought it, then I'd be in charge of my thoughts. But actually, a thought presents itself, and then I become aware, oh, I've just had that thought. And every thought seems to precede the other. It's like a train or a chain of thinking. One leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. And I end up going down this path where I'm just following the burrows of my mind, the known burrows. So do I think my thoughts? Well, if I did, I'd know every thought before it came up, and I don't. Hence, it's almost like the thoughts, they just kind of think themselves. Now, sure, there was a part of me that would accept that when I'm sitting around daydreaming and letting my mind just run around, it had, the monkey mind chatters and it just goes up and down and just comes up with all sorts of random stuff. Sure, that's when I'm not thinking my thoughts. But maybe I would say I'm thinking my thoughts when I'm working on a problem, for instance. Fair enough. Now, when I'm working on that problem and I'm working on linking a chain of thoughts together, isn't that chain of thoughts pretty much already linked? I'm still working within the confines of my mind. Let's say I was a math genius, which I'm not, and I was working on a calculus problem. Then I would already have to know calculus in order to work on the problem. So my mind would already have those structures in place in order to work on the problem, to take me through the thinking required to solve it. So again, who's thinking those thoughts? The chain of thoughts comes up, presented by the mind, and I just become aware of them as they happen. And it's very interesting, because if I'm not thinking my thoughts, who is? What I've come to realize is that thoughts are much like heartbeat or breathing lungs. They just present themselves. They just keep coming up in patterns, in known patterns. And when I'm dreaming is when my mind is at the most free, because then completely random thoughts can come up. But again, they're just coming up. I'm not dreaming. I'm being presented with a dream. And this is the great illusion of life. We think we're living it and we're in charge. But what's happening is the brain is actually just presenting us with a reality that we become conscious of, much like a movie projector is presenting a movie that we're just watching. Our thoughts come up, our feelings come up, all sorts of stuff just happens and we're just watching it and then responding to it. Oh, I like that, I don't like that. Oh, that person's just about to kill that person, and we're responding to this movie of our life. In many ways, we're just running on autopilot. I'll give you an example of this. 95% of our thoughts from yesterday and today will be the same. Most of our thinking is the same. And 95% of the time, we're just living this automation. We're just living this repeat patterns. The same stuff keeps happening. It's like Groundhog Day. The brain just keeps presenting the same stuff because that's what it's very good at doing. It learns patterns and repeats them. It learns things and repeats them. And then we just keep living inside the known confines of our brain. That's what we're presented with. So here's the question. Who's being presented with what the brain produces? So the brain automatically produces thoughts, produces these responses to life, produces feelings, etc. Who is the I who is being presented with that? Who's watching the movie? See, most people go through their lives thinking that they are their thoughts, they are their thinking, they are their feelings. But those are things that are just being automatically produced. They don't need a you to happen. You is what is watching that. So who's that you? If you'd like to explore this question deeper, that's what I do. So get in touch, subscribe to the channel, or get in touch, send me an email, and I look forward to working with you to help you explore so that you can discover who you truly are.